Let's take a look at the Digitrax Zephyr Command Control and see how easy it is to set up. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And in that railroad, we're going to try to hook up a DCC controller. Now, I would call this Digitrax Zephyr the easiest thing to set up, and I will show you how to do that in this episode. But before we get there, if you would like to see more videos like this one in model railroading for beginners and in editing and about YouTube or just anything, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You know why? Because it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, ding that bell, and that'll notify you whenever I have a new video coming out. So go ahead and subscribe and see what we have to offer for you. We have a lot of videos, and you'll be surprised at how much you could learn from watching the videos on this channel. So let's get started with talking about the Digitrax Zephyr. Now, this is the easiest one, like I said before. It looks like a controller for DC as far as this goes, the throttle. Okay, and you also have a brake on there to go forward, brake, and reverse. Now you have a bunch of buttons on here like all the throttles do on all your DCC throttles. But this thing is so easy, and the good thing about this is you could read back what the values are that you program into your locomotive or into any other component, like I showed you the PM42 and the DS64 if you want to get more involved in it. But we'll talk about that some other time, but not on setting this thing up. Now, looking on the back, now I don't have the plug in it right now, but you have two LocoNet receptacles right there. You got a receptacle for your power supply, and then you have a receptacle for a plug, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terminals. Rail A and Rail B. And then you have program B, ground, and program A, and then jump 1 and jump 2. The jump 1 and jump 2, you can hook up a DCC throttle and use it for running a locomotive in DCC. So let's go over to the bench and we'll talk a little bit more, and I'll show you how to set this thing up. So let's go. Before we apply power to the unit, I'm going to show you all the buttons on here. And the first thing, you know, this is the throttle right here, and this is the brake and forward and reverse control. Now, in this demonstration, I'm not going to be able to use the throttle on here because when the previous owner of this tried to solder something on this switch right here on the inside to the circuit board, and he destroyed the circuit board in that part. So the throttle and the forward and reverse does not work on here, but everything else does, all the programming features on here. And I'm going to show you how to run this with an external power supply, a DC throttle. There are functions on here, jump 1 and jump 2, where you could use a DC throttle as a DCC throttle on here, and we'll show that later on in this video. But first of all, I'm going to show you the buttons on here: exit, switch, power, and program mode over here on the left. And then you have loco, jump, MU, and steps, CV steps. Okay, on the bottom, CV read, this is to read back, and CV write, that's to write your CVs. Then you have the plus and minus on these two. That's for thrown and closed, and we'll get into that later on in this discussion. You have all your numbers right here, okay, and then like on all DCC throttles, you have 1, it shows a bell, 2 is a horn, and 3 is a coupler. Or on the sound decoders that have more functions on it, the 3 is a coupler sound, but on the value decoders that Bachmann puts out on their locomotives and some other manufacturers, the 3 is a short horn. So 2 is a long horn, and 3 is a short horn, and 1 is still the bell, and 0 is the headlights. So let's take a look at the back. You have your LocoNet connections right here, A and B. You could hook up an external DCC throttle on here, or you could hook it up to LocoNet and operate other components on there. This is your jack for the power supply, and this is for all your connections right here. Now let me disconnect this from the rail. And you have this plug that goes into the back, and right now I have it set up for the rail A and rail B, and it just snaps right in there, and then you could pull it out. You just wiggle it just a little bit. But A and B rail is for running your locomotives. Okay, and then you'll notice you have program A and program B. You use those two terminals on a program track to program your locomotives. And this is what basically we're going to use in this demonstration here, is the program A and program B. And the jump 1 and jump 2 I told you about, that's for hooking up a DC power supply and using that as a additional throttle on this unit. I have the controller set up for program mode, so I have program A and program B hooked up right now. And whenever you're using this, you want to isolate your program track from your main track. And what I mean by isolate, that is put a gap on each one of the tracks, so it's isolated completely. And then I just have this one track here, so just for this demonstration. But you'll want a separate program track to do your programming on your locomotives or anything else. Okay, so I'll plug this in. Okay, and it shows loco. So we're going to take a look at what address is on here. So we'll go into program mode. And when you're in program mode, there's 4 different modes that you could select on here if you just keep on pressing. It's page, PHYS, DIR, and OPS. Okay, what you want to do when you're on a program track, isolated program track, is use the page. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to read back what the locomotive is. Okay, and when you hit the loco key, it'll come up AD2 or AD4, and it'll just toggle back and forth. But we'll come over here and we'll hit the CV read, and it'll flicker a little bit and it'll show you the address that's programmed into there. Okay, so we'll go back to the loco. I want to put 9801 in there, so I'll use address 4. Okay, we're in address 4, and I want to program it to 9801, so I'll hit 9801. Okay, that's the number that I want to put into that locomotive. So I'll press CV right, and it'll start flickering. Okay, then when it's solid, it's done. So you hit exit. Alright, to make sure that we have it programmed to where we want it, we'll go back into the program mode and page, loco, and it doesn't matter if you have address 2 or address 4, and we'll go to CV read. Now it'll take a while for it to read it, and it'll be flashing while it does it. And it shows us that it took it, and it is 9801. Okay, so we'll just exit out of there. Alright, so now that we have the address programmed into it, okay, now mind you, this doesn't work, and every time I turn it on I get different kind of results, but I'll turn that power on. That's the bell. That's the long horn. That's the short horn. Okay, and here's the light. Okay, you can see the light coming on there. But unfortunately, I can't run it. And I got different results this time when I plugged in my throttle. I was able to run it the last time, but this time, whenever I plug it in, now I have it set at 9801 here. Okay, yeah, I got it set for that. It was on this one here, so I can operate this. And the lights, but whenever I attempt to turn the throttle on, let me put it in forward, it just takes off like it's full speed. So, knowing that I have a problem with that, don't do this at home. What I did, and I'll show you what the guy did. See, here's the thing, and there was a band, I guess this was attached over here like that, and when he tried to solder it, he tore it up all the way up to where it ended, and there's no way that I could get that. I'd have to take this board out of here to find out where it goes on the other side, and maybe try to attach it on the other side to see if this thing will work then. But and whenever you shut it off, okay, let me turn it back on again. PO12, that's the version.
Whatever you do, don't throw away your DC power packs.
Let's talk a little bit about using the external throttles. Before I even hook it up, I'm going to show you how you get there. Okay, you press the jump, and you'll notice on the jump there's a little light lit up on the display. Okay, that is jump 1, is a solid dot. Jump 2 is a flashing dot. and this throttle is no dot at all. So this is called the local throttle, and the other jump throttles are called throttle 1 and throttle 2. Okay, now you'll see in throttle 1 there was a locomotive programmed into it already. So we'll just jump over, no pun intended, yeah, pun intended, over to jump 2. Now that's asking for a loco. So what we'll do, we'll put in 12 and hit the button. Okay, so we'll go back. We have 9801 controlled by the local throttle, 123 controlled by the jump DC throttle, and number 12, the third throttle, is jump 2. And you could operate all the locomotives that way. You could do up to 10 locomotives on this controller here. 3 of them you could do through this and the 2 jump, or if you don't want to use your DC controllers, you could hook up through your LocoNet up to 10 throttles altogether, including this one here. So we'll go back down to the local throttle. Now if we wanted to operate, we know that we have locomotive number 123 on jump 1 and 12 on jump 2. We could also do some programming through the jump circuits for the other locomotives that are on there, not on the program track, but on your running track. But then, and that is a discussion, that will be another discussion, because that's a little bit more advanced than what this beginner series is about. So I'm just going to shut the power off. Well, I'll go back to the main one, shut the power off. Alright, I have an old 50-ton switcher right here, and this number is 1921. And so what I did was I put that on jump 2. Bring this up here. And you can see jump 2 is the solid, and I have 1921. And there's nothing on the main throttle right now. Okay, so I have that hooked up. I'll turn the power on here. I'll turn the track power on. Let's see, you can see this a little bit better here. Okay, now this one doesn't have a sound decoder, but oops, turn it the other way. And using the DC throttle, and I can control it a lot better. But anyway, that's just to show you how you could use a DC throttle with this as an extra throttle. Now you could hook up 2 different throttles on there. And like I said before, 1921, that's the jump 1. And the next one where it blinks is jump 2. And where it says no, where there's no light on there, that's this throttle right here. So let me turn the track power off, turn this off, and that's about all I have to show you on this. Now let me just turn this around and show you. Now see, here's the track, and then here's the jump. Now in order to do a second jump,
you would put one terminal on the ground and another terminal on the jump 2, and you'd be all set for the second DC throttle.
Even though you could only run one locomotive at a time on there without additional throttles, you can do a lot more with that programmer than you can with the Super Empire Builder programmer, because on the Super Empire Builder you cannot read back CVs. You have to hook it up to a computer and use JMRI to read back the CVs. But on the Zephyr, you could read back directly on the Zephyr in the program mode. So that's one good thing over the Super Empire Builder. The Super Empire Builder, you could have more throttles on it. You could have up to 22 throttles on it. But with the Zephyr, you could only have as many as 10. You could put your external throttles on there, DCC throttles, and you could also use the DC power packs when using the jump feature on it. So that is really good. I have a lot more videos and I have a lot more instructions. And if you'd like to see more learning experiences, become a patron on Patreon. I have a lot more videos on there. I have a lot more features on there where you could learn more by becoming a patron. And each individual tier has more rewards that come with it. So go ahead and check that out. And also check out tomstrainsandthings.com. I have a lot of stuff on there. I add stuff to it all the time. There's a lot of good information on there. I have links for track plans on there. I have a whole page of nothing but links for different places where you could go to see track plans. And leave a comment down below. I like to read your comments, and I answer every one of your comments. And don't forget to talk to everybody else on there about what you see. The Gravely building's coming up, and I just ran some trains on here a couple of days ago. I'll do some more on there also, and I'll show you how to do a lot of things on here if you keep watching the beginner series. The next beginner series is going to be on JMRI. Now you may think that's a little bit complicating, hooking up your DCC to the computer, but you can use your cell phone, and my cell phone is taking the video now, so I can't hold it up and show it to you. But anyway, that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Hook up JMRI so you could use your cell phone or a tablet as a throttle. And it makes it a lot easier, because if you have locomotives that have more functions than up to 12, you don't have to go to a different page to access them. All 28 functions are right there in front of you. All you have to do is punch the soft key on your tablet or on your phone, and you'll be able to do those functions on there. So keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for more live videos. And don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Patreon. I'll put a video up here and maybe 2 videos over here.